It's crazy because I've seen so many people say, oh, when you enter your 30s, you're going to have like an epiphany moment. It's going to be like an aha type of deal. And I was like, that's not really going to happen. But I have been 30 for 7 days now. And what they be saying is real, y'all.
Few things are as powerful. Few things are as powerful as love.
What is going on, beautiful people? You are listening to the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast, where we focus on personal growth and cultivating a healthy relationship with ourselves. I am your host, Tyra, the creative actress, content creator, and mental health enthusiast. And you guys, hello, I'm glad to see you again. If you are watching on YouTube, hi, it's good to see you again. But if you're listening on your favorite listening app, feel free to stay there. But we do have a video episode this week if you want to, jump over to YouTube so you can see my face. Spoiler alert, if you're not already looking, I look a mess today. And I don't just mean because I don't have on makeup and my hair all over my head and all that type of stuff. Y'all, jet lag has really got me. If you have not been following along for a couple of weeks, update, I went to Thailand for my 30th birthday, and it was one of the most rewarding experiences I have ever had. And this episode is just going to be a very brief overview because I'm pretty sure I'll touch on my trip to Thailand a few times throughout the rest of the year. But this will be just a brief overview of what happened on the trip and how it has helped me welcome my 30s with open arms. So, with that being said, before we jump into today's episode, let's go ahead and start with our affirmation of the week. This week's affirmation is: today and every day, I am blessed. Hmm. Let's go ahead and drop in, y'all. Today and every day, I am blessed. 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 Let's go ahead and say it one last time together. Today and every day, I am blessed. Oh, y'all, I am blessed. I'm blessed. That's really all I got to say about that. We are all so blessed to be on this earth. And when I was in Thailand, one of the things that kept coming to my mind, which is why this is our affirmation of the week, is just how blessed I am. Like, God really don't play about me. There have been so many times, well, I'm not going to say so many, like there's been 100 times, but there have been a few times in my life where God could have, or life could have taken me right on up out of here. And I'm so blessed that I am still here. And I don't know, I may talk about those things on the podcast one day whenever I figure out how to, present them to you guys. But I could have been out of here. And God's mercy has kept me. And I know that I am really walking on the prayers of my mom and them, my grandma and them. Like, I am really walking on the prayers of some prayer warriors, some amazing women and men, my pawpaws. And I'm just grateful that I am, equipped with the army, the armor of God. And so while I was in Thailand, I was just thinking, I was just like, wow, like I am truly blessed. Like every day is truly a gift. And we know this stuff and we say this stuff all the time. But while I was all the way in Asia, I was really feeling this versus just saying this in my mind. I felt it in my heart. So today we're just going to dive into a few things, and I really want to just touch on the last few days of my 20s leading up to my 30s because I intentionally took some time to really be present in the moment in that way so I can jot down things and journal about things that I was feeling in those last days of my 20s while welcoming in a new chapter. And I think through that process, I was like, dang, like, I think I want to do this for every decade just to see what 10 years looks like in my brain. So I think this is a great thing to start wherever you are in life, whatever the case may be. But I used to journal a lot in my late teens, my early 20s, like when I moved to New Jersey and stuff, and just looking at 19, 20, 21 year old Tyra's mindset and mind frame, and now being able to put it next to 29-year-old Tyra's mind frame going into 30, I just think it'll be a beautiful thing to then see 39-year-old Tyra, 49-year-old Tyra, 59-year-old Tyra, and really have those firsthand accounts of the different decades of my life. The first place I want to start with this episode is my trip to Thailand to tell you guys a little bit about it because I posted a little bit on the Instagram to give you a little update. I think I posted about the first leg of our trip and I posted it during our second leg and I was like, maybe I'll post again. But y'all, we were go, go, go so much. And I was also jet lagged because I was on the literal other side of the country, the literal other side of the world. I was literally 14 hours ahead of LA and 12 hours ahead of Louisiana, where all my family is. So, literally, the exact other side of the world, right? So, I firstly want to say I went to Thailand with my best friend Bria and my line sister Jamisha, and we all turned 30 within 2 weeks of each other, which I think is a very, very beautiful thing. Bria's entire immediate family came on the trip, her mom, dad, sister, brother, and her high school best friend. And then it was also, and her husband. And then it was me and my line sister, Jamisha. And I know all of them. And it was honestly a very beautiful experience. And it just showed me some things that I would like to have in the future. I would love to do family trips. I've never done anything like that with my family. And I think I want to be the person who has that in the future, or maybe I'm the one who sets that up for my family. Maybe it's when I have a husband and kids, or maybe one day my mama and daddy or grandparents or whatever will want to do a big trip like that. I just think that was such a beautiful experience that I got to experience secondhand through them, and I had a lot of fun. So first of all, I am jet lagged, y'all. I have been back in the States since last Tuesday at 2 p.m. It is now, today is Sunday. It's Sunday, so I've been home almost a week and my sleep schedule is still shot. Like I woke up today at noon, but I woke up at I sleep all day and I'm up all night. And I was trying to like hit it head on when I first got back. Like as soon as I got off the plane, my friend Alexis came and picked me up from the airport and she was like, okay, so what do you want to do? I was like, if I go home, I'm going to sleep. And it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I knew that was not the way to go. So we stayed out and like, what did we do? We went to like Home Goods and stuff like that. We just went shopping and like walking around different places. She had a couple of errands to run and I was so tired. I was falling asleep in the car, but I thought that that was going to help me. Y'all, it has not so far. I have never been that far away from home. So I didn't know that you be needing like a week to combat jet lag. Like I've never experienced jet lag like this, but it's been a beautiful experience and it's like the remnants of my trip to Thailand in that way. But I have been tired. And also, if you've never been out of the country like that, I didn't know that my stomach would take a hit Y'all have, so there's this thing called Bali belly where you go to like Bali and your stomach is really messed up and all this stuff. And I was terrified that I would get that when I went to Thailand. Long story short, I did not get that when I went to Thailand. Like, I know it's not Bali, but the idea of eating a different cuisine every day can really mess your stomach up if you're not used to that sort of food. So, I was nervous about that. We were all equipped with Imodium and Pepto and all of that stuff for for upset stomachs. I didn't need that the entire trip, but when I got back to the states, y'all, my stomach has been doing flips, somersault. My stomach is taking gymnastics. The gymnastics class that I told you I wanted to take, my stomach has been there for the last 12 days. That is what's going on. So yes, this is honestly what I've been dealing with and it's okay. Like I'm definitely okay, but it was a very rewarding experience. And while I was in Thailand, I had this overwhelming calmness about myself and about the trip. One thing about me that I notice when I do like international travel, as you guys know, I brought up that I have catastrophic anxiety when I fly, especially when I leave the country, and I'm trying different things to combat that, and I'm learning in it, and my therapist has really helped me create um different tools to use to help combat that. But I had this overwhelming calmness while I was in Thailand. Like I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I was in this beautiful place and I was doing something just for Tyra. And it's not often that I do stuff just for Tyra or just because Tyra wants to do it. And the experience in Thailand was just amazing. Like it was beautiful. We did all of these things. I ate curry like every single day. The curry in Thailand, y'all. Oh my gosh, if you ever go to Thailand, get you some curry. Now you want to say less spicy, at least for the first time, because Thailand spice is a whole new level. And I had some of the spicier things, but we also went like during rainy season and it was hot and muggy and all of that. So I didn't really want to eat hot food when it was so hot outside because then I was just hot on top of hot. And I just ain't really want that every single day, right? So I had this overwhelming calmness while I was there, and it was just crazy that that sense of calm came once I made it to Thailand, because a couple of weeks before, and I touched on this in my newsletter last week, a couple of weeks before that, I was shaking in my boots. I was like, I'm really about to be in my 30s, and I have nothing I wanted to have by the time I turned 30. And I think that realization that I had, I just had to release it and let it go, have a good cry, talk to God, all of that stuff. And in letting that go and in letting and leaving all of that at the altar, I was able to fully take in what the trip to Thailand was supposed to be for me. I think the trip to Thailand, if I had to put it into a couple of words, my trip to Thailand was a rebirth, it was a confidence booster, and it was a place where I could lean into being bold. That's really what it meant to me because like when I went out of the country for my 25th birthday, and some of you guys may be like, I travel out the country all the time. This is crazy. I don't know how you experience this or whatever. Everybody's experiences are different, y'all. I used to be terrified to leave the country. And I know that has a lot to do with, my upbringing and the people around me and their ideas and thoughts and actions that they do. But I was terrified to leave the country. So I went to Italy. That wasn't the first time I left the country, but that was the first time I left the country by plane and flew over a big old body of water. So moving to Italy, or going to Italy, that had been something that I had wanted to do for my entire life. Like ever since I can remember. I watched this movie Jumper when I was growing up, and they had a scene in the Colosseum in Rome, and I was like, I have to go there. Like I have to go there, and I have to do it as soon as I can do it. So for my 25th birthday, I went there and I did it. And on my way back, I was shaking in my boots. I thought, honestly, trigger warning for anybody who does not like things about planes, but I thought the plane was going to go down because I had accomplished the one thing that I really, really wanted to do. And I was like, well, what am I still here for? And talking to my therapist, she just helped me understand that The reason that I was feeling that way was because, or one of the reasons that I could have been feeling that way is because I needed to continue dreaming. There was this thing when I was growing up, like I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and that's it. And I didn't necessarily have things down the line that I wanted to, like long-term goals or whatever. I have like one big thing at a time that I want to do. And when I accomplish that one big thing, I'm like, okay, well, what next? Like I guess I'm done. I would really love to do like an episode where we really dive deep into that and my catastrophic anxiety and like all of that stuff. Um, but she told me like create bookends, which means, okay, we're going to go for this goal at this time. This is what it's going to look like. And when we get back, this is the next goal. And that gives me something to look forward to because when I don't have anything to look forward to, it kind of seems like, okay, well, my life is over. And subconsciously, that made me think I was going to die. And it's just crazy how the brain works. But we talked through that. Like, I had such bad anxiety after that trip, and I was like, I refuse to feel that way after Thailand. Now, granted, I still felt those feelings coming on, but I was able to combat them because now I have my toolkit in place to combat my catastrophic anxiety. So, with that being said, I think my overall trip to Thailand really illustrated how I want my 30s to look. My 30s need to be about me in a sense of not being selfish, but putting Tyra first while I should be my first and main priority. Like, I don't have any true responsibilities outside of myself. So, I need to be putting myself first because how can I show up for the people in my life, my husband, my or future husband, future kids, my current family, friends, if I do not pour into me like that? That's honestly the biggest thing. So overall, my trip to Thailand was beautiful. It was eye-opening and it was really a great intro to my eat, pray, love journey. So in last week's newsletter, if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, it's always linked down below in the show notes, but you guys should really subscribe. In last week's newsletter, I wrote out some things that I was jotting down like on the day of my birthday in my journal that learned in my 20s that I wanted to take with me in my 30s. And I'm going to share those with you guys now because honestly, it's only about 1,000 of y'all on the newsletter. And we be having 100,000 to 140,000 downloads per month. So I'm going to need y'all to go ahead and sign up for this newsletter. You might be like, Tyra, I don't read newsletter. Baby, sign up for the newsletter because it's a lot of great resources. We do giveaways there. We do all types of fun stuff. And I do not spam your inbox because that's what I don't like either. But anyways, I jotted down some things and I shared it in the newsletter, and I'm going to share it on this episode because I just think more people need to hear what I said. So, three things that I learned in my 20s, especially my late 20s. I would say that I learned all of these things when I was 28 and 29, and I'm like, no, I cannot leave this in my 20s. I think this will be pivotal in my 30s. The first thing is cultivate that relationship with God on your own terms. Growing up in the Bible Belt of the United States, which is the South, will have you thinking that you have to praise God a certain type of way. I grew up in, I think, a Baptist church. I've also been to a Kojic church. My grandma and them go to a Kojic church. And the way things are done are beautiful. But the way things are taught will make you feel like you have to fit in a box. And it wasn't until I moved out to Los Angeles and I started going to One Church LA and also listening to Pastor Mike Todd of Transformation Church was it that I really realized that God will meet you where you at every single time. And it's not about being perfect, it's about really cultivating that relationship with him. And a lot of the time, especially before I moved out to California, I would get stuck on the wait, I'm supposed to do this first, or wait, how do you do this? Or I'm supposed to do this, or wait, let me really realize how I'm supposed to pray. Like all of that stuff became more important than the actual relationship with God. And going to one church, I will say that it was easier for me to digest the way that Pastor Toure and all the other campus pastors would preach. Now, you can say what you want to say about any church. Here's the thing: every church ain't for everybody, and a lot of people out here, or that I've seen on the internet, will bash both Mike Todd and One Church LA. They won't necessarily bash Toure or things like that, but they'll bash these churches. And the biggest thing about it is you have to find the church home for you, and that one works for me. And that's also important. Growing up, like if you, let's just say that you live in your hometown forever, you're probably gonna go to your own that church forever as well. For example, my mama just recently got married, and she just started going to her new husband's church, and she absolutely loves it. She's blossoming so much there. They have so many um activities, and there's so much community building there. There's so much for her to do versus the church that we went to growing up, or when I was growing up. The church that she also went to growing up, there wasn't that. And not to say that that's a bad thing, but there comes a point where you start to plateau, right? And I think that what I've learned from going to one church is maybe the church that you're going to is just for a season, or maybe you have grown past this portion of your life, or maybe this is the church you're going to be at forever. You never really know, but it's okay to try out something new, and it's okay to feel like, I think I need something a little different, because there wouldn't be hundreds of thousands of churches if you was just supposed to go to this one in your hometown. Like that just doesn't make any sense. So I've had a lot more fun getting to know how I want to praise God, and how I want to worship God, and the relationship that I want to have with him, and how to talk to him, how to pray, and all of those things. I've had a great time learning that, and it's something that I am now putting confidence behind, because growing up, I'll be like, can I say that? Or I have to say it a certain way. I have to make sure that I dot all my T's and cross my I's. Dot all my T's, cross my I's. I cross all my T's and dot my I's, and I'm real buttoned up. No, God says, come as you are. Literally, come as you are. That means take all that extra stuff off and literally just be vulnerable with Him in whatever way that means to you. That's the way, in my opinion, to God. The second thing I learned is that, baby girl, you got to shed them old layers. Why do reptiles shed their skin? Crabs and, all of this stuff, the crustaceans and things. Why do they shed their skin? Because they are growing beyond what that skin can hold. And that is okay. I used to be the type of person that would say, well, this skin been with me my whole life. Like, why would I let it go? No, ma'am, no, sir. That is a limiting belief, and you have to get out of it. Some things are only meant to be there for a season. Some things are meant to stay. Some things are meant to go. And it's important to be able to differentiate between the two, because just because something has been around since you was born don't mean that it's here to stay, and it don't mean that it's meant to stay. And it's important to learn more about yourself and really lean in and trust your intuition on that front, because shedding that old layer can get you to that thing that you have been praying for years and years and years to come. That might be the only thing in between you and the life that you want to have. So I've more so recently learned that, it and it's not just with like relationships and things, but that's a huge one for me, but also physical things. Maybe there's some things that you need to let go of, that are stopping you from reaching your full potential. And I'm just saying, I'm just, throwing things out there. But for me, I know that there are a lot of relationships that I'm holding on to that I don't really need to, just because I've known this person my whole life, or this person has never really done anything wrong to me. Like making excuses for things that I am giving too much weight in my daily life and in my atmosphere, that I should just back away from a little bit. And it's not to say that I hate the person, or I hate the thing, or whatever the case may be. It's just saying that I need to focus my energy somewhere else. And a third thing that I learned is focusing on your happiness will bring you the desires of your heart. And I think that's directly related to shedding old layers, because I'm the only person on this planet that is responsible for my happiness. Let me say that again. I am the only person on this planet that is responsible for my own true happiness. And it's because everybody else has themselves to put first. And I don't mean it in a selfish way, but we have to advocate for the things that we want in life because we only have one life to live. And if we feel strongly about if we feel strongly enough about a thing, I think we should go for it. For example, and this is an old example, but when I was in college, I had a boyfriend, my high school boyfriend at the time. I was a sophomore, no, I was a freshman in college. Let me set the scene for you. He literally still lives at home, like in our hometown, and has a little life there that he loves. I'm assuming that he loves, right? But at the time, he was hell bent on not venturing out of the state, and that, long story short, that's how he stayed. But when I went off to college, I really, really, really wanted to do the National Student Exchange Program. Well, first, I wanted to do the international one, but I was afraid. And that's the only thing that I probably would have changed if I could go back to college. I would have tried the international one. But I ended up doing a National Student Exchange Program, which means I got to go to another school for a semester. And when I was telling him about the opportunity I had, he I don't remember if he probably didn't get mad, but basically the conversation was, if you do this, then we're going to have to break up. That broke me because I'm like, what? I'm only going to be gone for a semester, all of this stuff, trying to really like fight with him on this. Like, no, 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 you have to agree with me. Like, this is great for me. Like, just trying to persuade him that this was a good thing and not a bad thing. And if I would have said, you know what, I want to make sure that he is happy, I would have never had one of the best experiences of my life. That one semester that I spent in New Jersey was my best college experience, hands down. When I think about that, I'm like, wow, like I really had a time in my life where I was thinking, maybe I won't do this because of this other person. That is crazy when I think about it. The things that I want to do in my life should be a priority. And every situation is different. But if it's something that you truly want to do deep down, something that is going to add to your happiness, then you need to do it. Especially if it's about some little rusty, dusty man and his feelings about you going and do something else in the world, having a new experience in the world, something that not everybody gets to do. Oh, we need to talk about that. So making sure that you are putting your happiness first is what will directly bring you the desires of your heart. Like, I have made so many amazing friends that I still have today because of that one semester in New Jersey. I experienced one of the greatest loves that I've experienced to date that one semester in New Jersey. That one semester in New Jersey helped me want to go to culinary school. I moved back up there and I went to culinary school in Philly. Now I have a culinary degree on top of my degree in my theater degree. I also graduated early and was able to then go to culinary school. Like, there are so many experiences that I had, and I'm not even with that boy because I know I never wanted to live in Louisiana. I'm not even with him. Now, if I would have said, you know what, okay, I'm not going to do it, I still would have moved out of Louisiana because that's always been a plan for me, right? And then I would have just been regretting the fact that I did not do the National Student Exchange Program because of him if I would have let his idea of whatever it was win. So put your happiness first, especially if you are like me and you are single, a young woman. At the time, I was like 20 years old. And I wasn't even 20. I was 19 years old whenever I decided that I wanted to do the National Student Exchange Program. 19. So, with that being said, your happiness will lead you to the desires of your heart. And we have got to make sure that our own happiness, outside of everything else, is a priority because it's important.
Hey, you're on my mind, you know.
Since I've been back home, I'm like, okay, I'm 30 now. What am I going to change, right? But I want to make sure that I'm not thinking of this new season of my life as setting resolutions and stopping things and, being hard on myself, but more so of just implementing things in my life that make me feel good or better. And in that, I'm like, okay, Tyra, so what do I want to refrain from? Something that has like always, put me down or made me feel less than or not so great. What are some of those things that I want to release and, stop giving my energy to? And I think I wrote down a few things, but the first thing of how I plan to close out my new year is to stop entertaining things that I know I shouldn't. And I kind of talked about this a little bit in a previous episode, but the number one thing that I really want to stop entertaining is some of these men, some of these boys and men. And I say that because I realize that there are a lot of times where there are a lot of men, boys. Listen, I'm gonna just say men, even though some of them are very childish. There are a lot of men in my life or trying to be in my life that I feel like are just trying to be there. And it's like a catch 22 because they act like they like me, but then I have these looming thoughts in the back of my head that they're just trying to keep me around because I am an actress and I am on the up and up. So it's like another layer to it that makes me want to step back and say, whoa, 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 what's going on? But long story short, there are a few guys from various seasons of my life that will always just show up every now and then, and they will act like they like me. And 9 times out of 10, I can see through it. Sometimes I think it is real, but it's also not a situation that I want to see myself, not a situation that I see myself ever being in again because we're not in the same stages of life. And for lack of better words, you can't do nothing for me. And for the longest, I always felt like I was being mean by thinking stuff like that. But this is my life. And I'm not saying this stuff to them. I just know that it ain't for me. And that is okay. Like if you are not, and this is just the first thing that comes to mind. The thing that comes to mind because it's right there, right? I'm 30 years old. They're typically between like at the time I'm just turned 30, so like 29 to 32 type of age range. If I make more money than you at this age and you are apparently in a career that you love or whatever, you can't do anything for me. If you are working a dead end job and you're constantly telling me how much you hate it, you can't do nothing for me. And I just mean that in this season of your life, you got other stuff to focus on. You cannot be focusing on me because I've been in so many situations with guys where they are in a financial spot that they don't want to be in, and I've handled it one of two ways. I've either been like, well, I'm not paying for you, so you're gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna still talk to you though, but I'm gonna let you know that I'm not paying for you, I'm not helping you, blah blah blah. That backfires in my face because why am I still there? Go focus. And two, oh, that's okay. I see that you're, working towards things that you want to have. I will take you out on this date. Here's some money. I'll help you find the jobs. And that's also backfired in my face. It's a lose-lose situation and your priorities aren't where they should be because you should not be trying to date me if you don't have the money to date. And I'm not saying that I need a man that's going to pay for me and provide for me, but it is very stressful to be talking to a man who is not where they want to be in life. And I'm saying that from personal experience. So, most of these guys in my personal life that have been like resurfacing over and over and over again are like that. They're not where they want to be in life. They don't like their job. They party on the weekends. And I don't care about none of that. You can't do nothing for me. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm going to stop texting back. I have to. I have to. I have to. And then there's this one other situation where I met this guy out here, and long story short, he's been living in LA for a couple of years now. And he said, or a few years, I'll say. I don't remember how many, but maybe like 4 or 5 years, something like that. And he says that he's still trying to get up on his feet. And he's a little older. I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's like mid 30s. You can't do anything for me. And he is saying to me, oh, I would love to get together, but that's it. I am looking for initiative. I am looking for stability. I am looking for confidence. I am looking for boldness. I am looking for a man of God. I'm looking for someone who is interested in enrichment, interested in travel, interested in becoming the best version of themselves, and already on that path. Not someone who is just talking about it, not someone who is giving into their vices on the weekend. I'm not looking for that. And I've always, not always, I've well, no, I've always known that, but now I'm just getting bolder in saying that that's what I want and getting out of the idea of giving all of these men a chance because they don't need a chance. And I feel so strongly about it because it's just bubbling up in me now. It's like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I don't have to do that anymore. And I also don't have to tell these men, this is why I won't talk to you. No, I'm just keep it pushing. I don't have to text you back. I don't have to do X, Y, and Z. Now, if you ask me, hey, what's going on, blah, 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 cool, I'll say that. But also, we're not in relationship. You just text me from time to time. So if I don't decide not to text back, it should be okay. But there is also something to nipping it in the bud and keeping it there. Hey, I'm not interested in this. And that's actually what I've had to do recently. Hey, I'm not interested in anything long distance because most of these guys do not live here in LA. They're from other seasons of my life, whether it's me living in New Jersey or going to college and all of that stuff. I'm not interested. I have stuff to do. Um, and one other thing that I want to stop like entertaining is like certain side quests. Now, you guys know I love a side quest. I love enriching ones and things that help me pour into myself. But things like Fiverr, Fiverr is a time suck. It it makes me like anxious to do Fiverr. Like I be stressed out when I do Fiverr. Things like that I want to release because there's no reason for me to do it. Me being me doing Fiverr was just for the money. I used to make great money on Fiverr, but I'm just thinking like if I take that money or that time and invest it into my food blog, which is about to launch. This is the first time me saying that, but my food blog is about to launch. It's called Tyra's Table, y'all, and I'm so excited. Don't tell nobody. But if I put my energy into stuff like that, it will just be so much more rewarding on the back end. Another way that I plan to close out my year is to be unapologetic in what I want and start being an active participant in what I want and to be bold, which is our intention of the year. And it's so crazy that when I came up with this intention of the year, it had to be nothing but God because it is constantly showing up in my daily life now. And one thing that I want to say, like I want to be apologetic in what unapologetic in what I want. There was this situation where I was out with some associates, and one of these people likes this guy, and I also think this guy is attractive and whatnot. So I was talking with him. Well, let me tell y'all the whole story. So we were sitting at a table, and he walked in, and long story short, he sits by me and we start having a full blown conversation. This associate gets upset that I am talking to him. Now, I always talk to this guy when we see each other, literally always. It's nothing new. Um, and what she says is she feels like she couldn't get in on the conversation. And it pissed me off, not gonna lie, because first of all, I'm 30. We're grown. I can't stop this man from talking to me, and I'm not going to not talk to him just because you like him. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? So, and what I mean by this entire situation is I was like, okay, well, no, I think he's attractive as well. But you know what, girl, if you want to have him, go ahead. I'm a fallback. But no, if I want to talk to someone, I'm not trying to marry the guy. Like, and then also I don't even know. That man could be my husband, right? You know, you never really know. I'm not going to continue to do that because I've done that in the past. I've always like when somebody seems more passionate about something up front, like rah rah about something, I fall back because I'm like, what is for me is for me. And that is true. But also, the things that are for you, you go out and get, right? You don't just fall back just because somebody said something. And that's how I'm going to move from this day forward. I'm not going to continue to do that. I do not care if you like this guy. And it's not really about her liking this guy. It's about the fact that she came to me instead of checking her own self or just talking to him. because we all sitting at the table talking and we're just having a conversation. But you pull me to the side and say you were upset with me because I was talking to him and you felt like you couldn't get a word in. I don't know about you, but conversations work with two people talking, not just one. And I'm also not a mediator. I'm not going to say, so, Sally, what do you want to say to Bob? I'm not doing it. No, I'm grown. And I also think he's attractive. So, and he not your man. So I'm confused. Anyways, I'm going to be more bold and I'm kind of being thrust into that position in the first place. And the third thing of how I plan to close out my year is when it comes to things that I want in life, I'm going to say it with my chest. I was just talking to God last night and I was like, I've been like this my whole life. When I really, really want something, when I really, really deeply want something, I don't talk about it. I just throw it to the back of my mind. I'm like, well, I really want it. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to talk about it, all that kind of stuff. But no, I want to say it with my chest and I want to say it to God. And that's what matters. And I'm working on that. So it's not really something to like, say to people outwardly or anything like that. But I'm like, God, this is what I want. Um, and I'm just believing you for it each and every day. Whereas in the past, I would just be like, oh, I want that thing, but nope, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to bring it to God. I'm not going to say anything. And I don't know if it's doing me a disservice, but it's also not, um, putting it out into the atmosphere. It's the power of life and death is in the tongue, right? So you have to speak good things about yourself and all of that thing. Everything that we say are little spells. So the on the positive note, we typically only look at that from a negative. On a positive note, I should be putting those things out into the atmosphere so God can then know the desires of my heart. Like he does know the desires of our heart already, but it goes so much further for us to actually say those things to him and have those vulnerable conversations with our deepest desires of our heart. So that's that's really how I plan to close out my year. I am excited for my 30s. I am walking into my 30s with a confidence and a boldness that I have never experienced, and I'm grateful for that. I'm walking into my 30s with myself as my main priority, and I'm walking into my 30s knowing exactly what I want out of life, what is important to me, and I'm walking into my 30s joyful. I think this has been the first milestone in a while where I haven't been riddled with discomfort or um, uneasiness, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. And I'm just grateful for the position that I am in, and I am excited for what my 30s has in store. I'm also working on some amazing projects and I'm doing things just for me. And it has just been so rewarding. And I'm so grateful for all of the experiences that I've had. And I can't wait to look back at year one of my 30s and see just how far God has brought me. Uh-oh, you guys, you know what time it is. It is time for our fun closing segment. And today's fun closing segment is brand new. Well, it's kind of brand new, but we've talked about it a few times on the podcast. We are doing our first installment of letters from listeners, and I have a letter from a listener right here. And basically what this is you submit a letter to us. It could be anything. It could be a story, it could be a question with backstory, like give us the whole story now so we can really, really talk about it. But it's a time for us to just connect as a community. So, the link to our letters to listeners form is always, always, always in the show notes. If you're listening to an older episode or whatever the case may be, you can hit the ask us a question. That is the form, but now it's called letters to listeners, but it's all the same form. Now, okay, I have it pulled up. Here is our first one today. This question is from Court, and it says, I love your podcast and the affirmations. Thank you, Court. I'm also listening from Alabama. I'm 30 and I'm still single. I just got out of a relationship earlier this year and I started dating someone else right after. Things were good with the new guy, but then we started to argue a little. Lots of miscommunication and trying to understand each other. We got over that hump, lately things have been different. He texted maybe once in the morning and I didn't hear from him until the next day maybe. This went on from Saturday to Thursday. He called Thursday saying that his mom has cancer. Okay. But he also said that his mom went to Vegas this past Saturday night, the day he found out his mom had cancer, but said his mom came back the next day, Sunday afternoon, flying from Alabama to Vegas. So I believe he's lying about Vegas, and I hope he's not lying about his mom having cancer. I'm not sure how to proceed because something is not right. I do plan on telling him how I feel and looked up the flights for Saturday but didn't see any plane flying to Vegas. How would you handle a situation like this? I'm just tired. I feel like I run into the wrong guys, and when I think something is going well, something happens. We were dating seriously, like about to get in a relationship, but now I can't see myself with a person who communicated like that. Okay, this is a lot. This is a lot to unpack. Oh wow. Okay. And also, you guys, if you have any like thing to add to Court's story, you can always send us a email and we'll, follow up on things as we need. Okay, so first, you're from Alabama and you're still single. You just got out of a relationship earlier this year and you started dating someone else right after. Let's start there. I have done a lot of rebound relationships and it never really gives you time to heal, and a lot of times, especially when we are rebounding, we can become blind to our part of the toxicity that's going on. And I'm not saying like you're being toxic or anything in this, but I know from personal experience, I start to hyperfixate on the other person when I am rebounding versus on myself and healing from whatever I was in prior to this new guy. I also hope that this guy is not lying about his mama having cancer. But one thing that I do know, well, one thing you didn't say was how old this guy was, but men are like 5 years younger than us in the brain, right? So if this guy is 30, then he about 25. He's still like 25 in the mind, right? It's hard to find a 30-year-old man who thinks like a 30-year-old man, depending on their upbringing and things like that, especially a black man. I don't know if you're black or not, I'm assuming, but with that being said, I hope that he's not lying about his mama having cancer either. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is trying to deal with his feelings about it while also still try to keep you around. Maybe he think you should just understand what he's going through, all of that stuff. But the biggest thing here that I would do is not try to put those puzzle pieces together for him. That's on him and his body. And based on what you sent here, Court, it's saying that you weren't in a relationship. You guys were just in the dating phase. So if he is doing stuff like that already in a dating phase, that's not going to stop when you're in a relationship. I think you should fall back if you haven't already and just let him first come to terms with the things with his mama having cancer because that's big and that's bigger than a relationship than having a relationship with you right now, especially if his mama just found out. And people process things different ways, people grieve different ways. um so that's also super important to know. um I really think that's about it. You said you looked up the flights on Saturday, but there wasn't a plane flying to Vegas. Now that's interesting. So if I looked up the flights, I would here's the thing. If he was my boyfriend already, I would have asked about it. But if he's not my boyfriend, I wouldn't ask about it because we're just dating at this point. And I think as black women, we get too invested in these guys too early on. And that's something that I'm working on as well. We treat boys that are not even our boyfriend as a husband. And I think that's a huge red flag in me that I am starting to work on. It's actually something that me and my ex-boyfriend used to fight about all the time. So he'll be like, how do you know if you want to be with me, or you're just going to change when we're husband and wife? Doesn't make sense. You should just be the same. No, there are different stages in a relate, and this is exactly what I said to him. There are different stages in a relationship for a reason. It's to keep both of us safe. It's to grow together. And if you're just dating this guy at this point, then don't get too wrapped up in the day to day of what's going on. Like, you're just getting to know each other. So if someone did this to me where I'm like, okay, they're not really talking to me, I would think if he said that his mom had cancer, that he was going through something terrible. And from that alone, I would fall back because that's a lot to deal with. And it's like, why would you thrust yourself in that situation when he's not your boyfriend? He's not your fiance. He's not your husband. Why would you thrust yourself into that situation when you can let him grieve how he wants to and then show up fully and healed, or in a better place, so you guys can really focus on getting to know each other, right? And on the flip side of that, if I were going through something like that, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship. That's not my priority. My priority is my mama. I'm not worried about you, boy. I need to worry about my mama right now. And I think a lot of maturity comes with us being able to say that. um and also think to yourself, like, why do you want to continue being with this man? Like, why is it even a question of what I should do? You said that you had a feeling that something is not right. Baby girl, listen to that intuition. I cannot tell you what to do. I can only say what I would do in this situation. And the biggest things for me, because grief will make you do crazy things, I wouldn't necessarily think he lying, but I would say, okay, well, you clearly have a lot on your plate. I'm going to fall back, because it doesn't, for me, it doesn't make sense to like get into the argument. So I really ask, oh, it don't have a flight coming from Alabama to Vegas. What are you talking about? You lying. I'm not worried about none of that, especially at this age that I am now. You have a lot on your plate. Handle that, because what is for me is for me. What God has for me will not miss me. And being confident in that, I feel like, will help you get to the next level. So if any of you listening have any other words for court, feel free to email us, because I do have her email address. I can share the advice that you have with her that way. But yeah, that was our first letters to listeners, you guys. Now, I will say, I thought this episode was going to be a lot shorter than it actually was, but turns out I got a lot to say. Thank you guys so much for listening. I think get ready, because I'm going to show you guys some more pictures and things on the Instagram for the Thailand trip if you have any questions. But go ahead and make sure that you're subscribed to the newsletter, because the majority of what this episode was about, we touched on in the newsletter. And also, submit a letter if you want to be on a podcast. In that form, you could also submit like a voice note or even a video if you want us to put you up on the video episode of the podcast. That would be great as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. And we also have this broadcast channel on our Instagram. You guys go ahead and sign up there, because I will be chatting with you guys a little bit more in there. It's called Glow Sisters, but it's just a space for us to really connect, kind of like a group me style thing where we can get in contact with each other a little quicker. So let me know. If you want any more episodes about my catastrophic anxiety, if you want me to talk more about Thailand, all of the things, or how I'm enjoying 30, even though I'm just a weekend now. But seriously, thank you guys so much for listening to the end. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you guys again next week. This is Affirmations for Black Girls.